Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zarita Barton. I am the Manager of Financial Aid Communications at Lone Star College System, and I'd like to welcome you to our virtual presentation for counselors and schools. So we know that during these trying times, there are a lot of questions regarding what's happening with financial aid, what's happening with Lone Star College, and the information that we're needing to provide to our students. So we're hoping today to get you some updates on what's going on with financial aid for the 2020-2021 school year. We're partners and we definitely want to make sure that we are able to support our students as well as we can. And hopefully this can provide a little bit of clarity for you today. I hope that all of you are well, that your families are safe, and that during these trying times, you're able to get your jobs done and help our students just like we are. So with that, I'm going to give it over to Keith Dixon. He's our Executive Director of Financial Aid Student Services to give you a quick welcome.
All right, thank you, Zarita. Let me first say that we are excited to have you as a part of this virtual workshop. One of the things that we want to make sure is that you know that Lone Star is committed to you and to your students. And as Zarita mentioned, we understand that these are difficult times that we're going through, but we're all going to get through this. And like I said, we want to make sure that we're that resource for your student. Our main goal today is to hopefully get you information and resources that you can use in better assisting your students. But also, again, I just want to make sure that you know that we are here as your partner and we're here to support all your efforts. So with that, thank you. And back to you, Zarita.
All right, thank you. So you're going to hear from a lot of different individuals from across the system from financial aid. So I just want to do a quick introduction. Of course, you have myself. I'm the Manager of Financial Aid Communications, and Keith Dixon, Executive Director of Financial Aid Student Services over the campuses. You're also going to hear from Carlene Egloss. She's the Manager of Financial Aid at the Montgomery campus. Alberto Cuevas, he's a Financial Aid Advisor at the Sci-Fair campus. You'll hear from Kevin Hodge, Manager of Financial Aid at the Tomball campus. Ken Bastian, Manager of Financial Aid at the Houston North campus. Pierre Flood is the Manager of Financial Aid at the Kingwood campus, and Monica Young is the Director of the Financial Aid Contact Center. So just a quick run through of our agenda to let you know what we're going to be covering today. We're going to have a brief FAFSA and TASFA overview. We know that a lot of our counselors and ISD partners are very seasoned and have a great background in financial aid information, but in case there's any newbies or you hear something new, we're just going to give you a quick overview. We're also going to give some updates on the Lone Star College TASFA process and FAFSA verification processes. We're going to share some updates on Lone Star College processes based on the new information from COVID-19. We're going to talk a little bit about satisfactory academic progress, which is always important. We're going to give you some additional resources, and then at the end, we'll have time for questions and answers. So during our presentation, you'll have the options of being able to ask questions in the chat. So we have some behind the scenes folks who are going to be answering questions in the chat, but we can also take a look at those at the end of the presentation and make sure that all of your questions get answered. So please feel free to ask questions as we're going through our presentation. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Carlene Egloss for our FAFSA overview.
Thank you so much, Zarita, for that warm welcome, and hello, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I will be going over a quick overview over the TASFA and FAFSA process, and then, of course, we'll go into the different types of financial aid that comes along with each. So for the FAFSA, as you know, Zarita mentioned, we are well aware that you guys are very well seasoned with the FAFSA, but just to give you a brief overview, students who are U.S. citizens and eligible non-citizens, they have the option to complete the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid at FAFSA.gov. They also have an awesome feature as well where students can actually download the My Student Aid mobile app. So if they don't have access to a computer, this is also available. The FAFSA application is available every year, October 1st, for the following academic year. So please encourage your students as soon as it is available to go ahead and complete it. Now, the FAFSA does use income information from 2 years prior. So definitely have their tax documentation from 2 years before, and that will definitely help. With the FAFSA, I know I get this all the time from different counselors about what happens if there's a special circumstance. We do have different professional judgments that can be, that is available with the FAFSA. Later on, there will be some discussion about the different types of forms available, okay? Let's go over for the TASFA overview. So with the TASFA, this is the Texas application for aid. So this is available at the collegeforalltexans.com website, or a much more thorough documentation and requests for different types of documentation can be found at our lonestar.edu-financial aid-forms. This is also where you can find our TASFA form and anything related to financial aid. All of our forms are there. The TASFA application is available for DACA students and non-US citizens who are considered Texas residents. The actual application on the state website is available every October 1st. And like the FAFSA, it also uses income data from 2 years prior. Okay, so let's go into a little bit more detail about the different types of financial aid that is available when a student completes the FAFSA. So with the FAFSA, there is the federal aid, which I know a lot of students only typically think about Pell Grants as financial aid. There's also the subsidized Stafford loan and the unsubsidized Stafford loan. So for the state aid bracket, there is the Texas Education Opportunity Grant and the Texas Public Education Grant. And then of course, then we have our favorite, scholarships. I do want to take a moment while we're all on the topic of scholarships, is that the application deadline closes today. And with the help of campus presidents' notifications to all of our ISDs, our scholarship application submissions have increased. So I also want to take a time out to tell you all, thank you so much for all of your efforts. We couldn't do this without you. And then another umbrella for scholarships, let's not quite forget, we also have our workforce solution scholarships. If you go to our Lone Star webpage and go under financial aid, specifically under scholarships, this is where you'll also get a chance to see the different scholarships we have available for our workforce solutions program. Now that we discussed a little bit over scholarships and all the different types of aid, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Alberto, where he will discuss the TASFA process and some of the common errors that we should look for when it comes to the different to TASFA.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alberto, Financial Aid Advisor at Satisfactory Campus, and I'll talk to you all about the TASFA process and its updates that it's had during this COVID-19 time. The application has been converted to a fillable PDF with electronic signature. You can also submit the 1040 forms directly from your tax preparer instead of the tax return transcript directly from the IRS. So make sure that you tell your students that. Applications can also be submitted by email. Just make sure that your students are submitting them from their My Lone Star email. We do get a lot of TASFA common errors. These are some. Make sure that the students fill out their full legal name. Their name must match their ID and their affidavit. Also, questions regarding dislocated workers, household size, and tax return information. As stated before, make sure that the students submit their tax return directly from either their tax preparer or the IRS. Question 18 through 20, if the student has earned a bachelor's or an associate's degree, they're not eligible to receive TASFA funding. Question 21, no on-campus housing at Lone Star College. Question 60 and 65 include ITIN number if used. Question 64, if the parents filed a joint, both parents filed. Questions 67 through 78, enter 0. Do not leave any questions blank. On this next slide, it will show y'all all the advisors for every single campus. So if a student has questions, make sure that you direct them to each of their campuses. Make sure that you take a screenshot of this, and I will pass it on to Mr. Kevin.
Hi, my name is Kevin Hodge. I'm the manager of the Tomball location. We are so glad to have you guys with us this afternoon. I will be going over how the FAFSA flows in our Lone Star system and the complete process from completing the FAFSA to the student getting awarded. As soon as the student and the parent completes the FAFSA will be processed and the student will receive an email. Once they receive the email that their FAFSA has been processed, within 24 hours, Lone Star will receive the ISER within its system. Once we receive the ISER in our system, the file will, if it was selected for verification or has any C codes on it, will be added to the student's account. The students will receive a verification email to let them start the verification process. If they have any C codes on their account, they will also receive an email to let them know what they need to turn in so that their FAFSA can be completed. When the student completes the verification process, and that will be discussed by Ms. Kayana Bastain, and all of the C codes, then the file is complete. Once the file is complete, it will go through the awarding process in our system, and the student will receive an email of all of their financial aid awards for that term. At this time, I'll pass it over to Kayana.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, everyone. My name's Kayana Bastain. I am currently the FA Financial Aid Manager for Houston North location, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our LSC verification process. So first and foremost, students are selected for verification through the Department of Education. So verification can range from verifying your household income to verifying your household, the number in your household, also to verifying whether a student completed high school or not. Also, once we receive the ISER, is what we would call it, or FAFSA application, we then would add a checklist to the student's account. The student would be able to view this through their My Lone Star because it will show up on their to-do list. So it'll show whether the student has to, what the student has to do, whether it be verification or, if, like Kevin mentioned, C flags. I'm sorry, our C codes. C codes can be default letters, also citizenship and selective service. So once the student receives the email that they are selected for verification, they would then register with our third-party servicer, ProVerify, to submit those documents. The turnaround time for those documents can range, normally it would be 7 to 10 business days, but due to the COVID-19, the process is a little bit longer, so about 14 business days. I'm going to pass it over to Zarita, and she'll talk more about our financial aid forms.
Thank you, Kayana. And what everyone has said so far is mostly circled around the changes for COVID-19. So like I said at the beginning, a lot of our processes are still the same, but some have changed and some have updated so that we're able to serve our students a little bit better during this time. Department of Education guidelines have been adjusted and they are changing every single day. And we're doing our best to keep up with all of the changes that have been happening. One of the changes that Department of Ed was able to relax a little bit was the verification process. Good news for Lone Star College students, our verification process was always online. For the last couple of years, it's been online through ProVerify, who is our partner. So when the student submits the FAFSA, they will get an email to their My Lone Star email address, and it's going to tell them to go to ProVerify, register, where they're going to be able to answer those questions about household size. They're going to be able to upload tax documents if they are required, and to get that verification process complete, all 100% online. Now, a major change that we've had. There have always been some documents that were required to be submitted in person. For example, the identity and statement of educational purpose. That's a verification document. It used to be that they had to come in, but now we are able to convert those online and make them available through the Lone Star College website. So most of our documents are going to have an electronic signature option, and all of them are fillable. So hopefully we've done our best to make them compatible with most types of devices. We know that some students have challenges if they don't have a desktop or a laptop, if they're using maybe a tablet or an iPad or their mobile device. We've done our best to try to make those fillable and to make them easily accessible online. So electronic signatures are now acceptable on the overwhelming majority of our documents. However, for security reasons, any emails with attached forms must come from the student's My Lone Star email address. So the Department of Ed is pretty clear on security measures, and we have to make sure that any documents that are coming in to Lone Star College are encrypted properly, and the only way to make sure that that's being done is to generate the email from their My Lone Star to a Lone Star email address. If they're using their Gmail, if they're using Outlook or some other type of service, we can't guarantee that the documents are not going to be, they're not going to have viruses or something like that, and we're not sure if they're going to be secure. So we have to make sure that the student is submitting their documents through their My Lone Star email address. That's very, very important. And of course, if they have questions, if they have issues with accessing anything, or if they need assistance, they can always reach out to us, and we'll do our best to accommodate them or help out however we can. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Pierre, who's going to talk about satisfactory academic progress.
All right, thank you, Zarita. I'm Pierre Flood. I'm the manager at the Lone Star College Kingwood campus. And as Zarita said, I'm going to discuss satisfactory academic progress. And the number one thing we want students to understand when they accept financial aid, they are accepting the responsibility to maintain these SAP standards. We call it SAP for short, SAP. To be eligible, students must meet the following three standards based on federal, state, and institutional requirements. The first one is the qualitative standard, or the GPA. Students must maintain a 2.0 GPA cumulative throughout their time at Lone Star College. Second would be PACE, or the completion rate. Students will need to complete at least 67% of their attempted units throughout their time at the school. Then the third, of course, would be the maximum time frame. Students have 150% of the published length of their program to complete their degree or certificate. So as an example, if the program is a 60-unit program to complete, then the students will be allowed to attempt up to 90 units. All right. SAP will be evaluated at the end of each term, fall, winter, and spring. And then some of the consequences of not meeting SAP. The very first term that a student is not meeting SAP, their next term of enrollment, they will be considered on warning. They will still be eligible to receive financial aid that term, but they will be hopefully working towards getting back to meeting the SAP standards. If they do get back to meeting SAP standards by the end of that warning term, they continue on, no questions asked, they're still eligible for aid. Now at the end of that second term, if they're not completing SAP at that time, if they're not meeting SAP at that time, they would then go on financial aid suspension and not be eligible for aid going forward. And also with the maximum time frame, once they hit that 91st unit, that at that point they would lose their eligibility and be considered suspended from financial aid. There are appeal processes available for students who have not met those SAP standards. And the first one is based upon student having mitigating circumstances such as death of a relative, illness or injury, or other special circumstances beyond their control that affect their ability to meet the SAP standards. They will need to submit sufficient documentation that supports the circumstance, and that appeal will then be reviewed, and if the appeal is approved, they will then go on probation and maintain their eligibility for financial aid. At any other time, if once they again start meeting the SAP standards, they would then be able to get back on financial aid. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Miss Monica Young.
As everyone stated, thank you for joining us today. I am Monica Young, and I am the director of the Financial Aid Contact Center, here to give you some additional resources for students. On our website, we do have admissions application, also testing information. Under the student resource page, we have for students who may need to reach out for counseling during this time, that's also available to students. We also have new student orientation information. So please refer your students to the student resource page for additional information. So for financial aid, students can chat with us through the link that is online. They can also call us at 281-290-2700 and also, excuse me, email their documents and forms to us. As we stated, it does have to come from the Lone Star email, but that can be submitted through facc@lonestar.edu. And we're certainly glad again that you're here, and we're here to service both you and your students. And with that, I will pass it on to Carlene.
And you can see there that the contact information for the financial aid managers is available to you for each campus. And the managers are happy to answer any questions that you might have. There's a couple of newbies out there, but we're definitely happy to assist in any way that we can. We know that times are difficult right now. We're all trying to figure out how we're going to proceed, especially with the closures and things like that. So we're definitely doing our best to make sure that our students are taken care of. If you reach out to us, if you have questions or concerns, we are happy to assist. And we didn't get a whole lot of questions on the chat. So at this point, if you have questions, please feel free to submit them through the chat. Ms. Cindy Montante, who's one of the advisors at our North Harris campus, made sure to emphasize that students should be contacting us through their My Lone Star email address. We know that it's a little bit difficult for them to access that information right off the bat, but it's really the best way to get in contact with us. It's our official means of communication with them to make sure that their information is remaining secure. So I know that they may not check their My Lone Star email address, but if you could help us out by supporting us and making sure that you're pushing the students to access their My Lone Star, it would really help us out a lot because they get information from us regularly. We're sending out communications. They receive generated emails when their FAFSA is received, when they have checklist items, when they have an award available to them. It's all through their My Lone Star email address. So it's really, really, really important that we get them to check that email address and to use that email address to get in contact with us. But that being said, we're done a little bit earlier than we expected. But if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help. We hope everyone stays safe, and we hope we were able to answer a few questions today. And thank you for your time, and we appreciate you. Happy Teachers Appreciation Week.